Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to try an experimental fold and I'm going to ice dye it. So I had a yellow Gildan Ultra Cotton shirt and I thought, well, I'm doing a bunch of reverse dyes so I could either remove part of the color, but this shirt is light enough I can just dye over the top. So I thought I would experiment with some sort of a different fold I've never done before. So I started out trying to make a corner protractor fold. And to do that, I wrapped a piece of old sinew around a washable marker and I made some arcs on my shirt. Those aren't really necessary. I just did that to kind of keep tabs on my fan folds. Then I placed a protractor, which is a really large protractor that I purchased from Harbor Freight, on the corner of my shirt. Using a washable marker, I'm going to make a mark every 20 degrees on the protractor. If you want your lines to be closer together, you can do that. You can make them however you want to. Once I have the marks on my shirt, I'm going to draw a line from the very corner of the shirt through that mark to the outer edges of the shirt. I'm going to do this for all the lines on the shirt. To do the fan folds, I'm going to pinch each line and fold it down. Then I'm going to pinch the next line and fold it down and lay it on top of the one before. I'm going to continue this until I have all of the fan folds done. By the way, I'm going to just work the sleeves down into the rest of the fan folds. So this is where I started to experiment. When I got to this point, I decided to start down at the very corner, so the small end of the shirt, and just begin to roll it, kind of like a cinnamon roll. I tried to keep it as tight as I could. So as I'm rolling toward that bottom part of the shirt. So that part of the shirt is going to be flat. The other side is a little wonky. To hold this whole entire thing in place, I decided to just use a rubber band. Wrap a couple rubber bands around it, and then, truthfully, I didn't know exactly how to dye this at first. So I placed it aside for a couple of days while I was thinking about it, and by the time I came back to actually dye it, it had dried out. So I think I kind of figured out a way to apply the dye to the shirt. So I'm taking a plastic tote, and down inside of the tote, I placed a little metal basket upside down so that it has a flat surface. Then on top of that plastic basket, I'm placing a pitcher, and this pitcher I took and cut the bottom out of it. So any of the liquid can drain out of this pitcher, drain through the plastic basket, and down inside of the tote. It's not going to be very easy to apply the dye on this shirt with it inside of this pitcher though. So I decided to take it out of the pitcher, turn the basket upside down so that it can sit in the basket, and apply the dye that way. Then I'll go ahead and put it back in this pitcher after it's dyed. Also, since the shirt is completely dry, I'm going to lightly spray the top of it with a soda ash solution so that the dye will stick better. And then to apply the dye, I'm going to apply it just kind of like this was a spiral. I'm going to use each color and only go halfway into the center of this fold. I'm alternating using brown and green colors, and I've chosen some darker greens. So let me tell you the colors that I'm using. And by the way, several of these are special order colors from Dharma. And you can still order those from Dharma, but you have to order in large quantities. Otherwise, down below this video in the description for the video, I have a link to a Facebook group called Tie-Dye Supplies Marketplace. You can usually find smaller quantities of these colors out in that Facebook group. Okay, so I'm starting with Moose from Dharma, followed by Moss Green from Dharma, Wet Sands from Dharma, Swamp from Pro Chemical and Dye, Khaki from Dharma, Balsam Fir from Pro Chemical and Dye, Brazil Nut from Dharma, and Loden from Pro Chemical and Dye. So on this shirt, the special order colors are Moose and Wet Sands. Okay, so I'm going to take the shirt out and carefully place it back down inside of the picture, turn my little basket back over, and set it on top. So far, so good. Then I'm going to add a little sprinkle of dry soda ash over the top and fill up this pitcher with ice. I have a big chunk of ice, and I'm going to use that instead of smaller pieces of ice. Which, by the way, you may be wondering why I'm using so much soda ash. This shirt, I initially thought that I would tie some different way and remove part of the color. But I ended up not doing that. So this shirt has not been soaked in soda ash at all. So I'm adding quite a bit of soda ash because there is none in the shirt. Okay, so after I had the ice on the shirt, I decided to move this container off of my dye table. And in the process of doing this kind of wobbly pitcher fell over and my shirt fell out into the container. Well, I just kind of picked it up, put it back, put the ice back on, and went with it. After the first layer of ice melted, I came back, and of course this is a really thick fold. So the dye had started moving down through the shirt, but I went ahead and added another larger chunk of ice and let it melt too. After the second chunk of ice melted, I started to get concerned that I might not have enough soda ash in the shirt. That always makes me really paranoid. I'm concerned about not having enough soda ash and my dye rinsing out, because this kind of dye has to have soda ash to raise the pH so that the dye will bond with the fabric. So what I did was I took a pitcher, one that has a bottom in it, and added some warm water to the pitcher, added quite a bit of soda ash, mixed it until the soda ash dissolved, and then I took this shirt inside the pitcher to my sink and poured the soda ash over the top. Then I just went ahead and allowed the shirt to process. I think I left it probably 24 hours. After waiting about 24 hours, I took it to my utility sink and I started rinsing the shirt in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. If you'll notice, the dye has gone through to the bottom of the shirt, so that makes me hopeful that I've got a cool design, or at least a design on the shirt. Then I went ahead and warmed the water up to hot and started rinsing in hot water to try to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. I went ahead and untied the shirt, and then instead of rinsing for a long time, I decided to soak the shirt. To do that, I placed some really hot water in my utility sink, added some Blue Dawn dish soap to the water, placed the shirt inside, and just allowed it to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out, and I continued that process until my water was remaining almost clear. Okay, so this shirt has been washed, dried, and ironed, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? I think this one turned out looking really cool. I like the really dark lines from where those fan folds were, and I like the effect of the other colors, like the color splits and the way they moved on the shirt too. I honestly was not sure what I would get with this shirt, and I'm very pleased with the outcome. I think it looks cool. I think that the original yellow color, though, doesn't look quite the same. It almost kind of has more of a chartreuse cast to it now with all the greens. But overall, I'm really happy with it. If I did this shirt again and I actually knew what I was going to do, wasn't just kind of freestyling it, I would have soaked it in soda ash beforehand, and then I would have had to do the process at the end. So I'm really happy with the shirt. I think it turned out looking cool, and I like the colors together. But what do you guys think? Please please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.